So you cannot use an executive order to override a lawfully acquired light weapon. So on that basis, the president, on the basis of security concerns, cannot take that step. Furthermore, it has been shown that most of the weapons that are being used by the bandits, the insurgents, they are illegal weapons. Now, if they are illegal weapons, the security should go and retrieve them. Not from people who have lawful weapons, light weapons. Now, some of us, I happen to come from a constituency in which some of my people have suffered in the hands of these insurgents. 2 weeks back, we had a security meeting in my constituency. These bandits are in some hills close to a community. Anytime farmers go to farm, they'll go and kill them. I had to go home. We have a detachment of military men there. After the meeting, I engaged them. What they told me was that these insurgents are they're in the mountains, and that it does appear as if the weapons they have are higher than the one that the military have. Certainly, they cannot have license for other kinds of weapons. That is what I think the security should think out of the box to see how they will retrieve weapons from these bandits, illegal weapons from bandits, and terrorists, as the case may be, instead of instead of asking people who have them guns for hunting, who they can use for self-defense, that they should retrieve them. I think that executive order, if it has been signed, is overreaching, and it is going to complicate the security situation in the country. To that extent, I support this motion, and that executive order, with all due respect, is not well thought out. Thank you very much.
Honorable Abonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Uzoma Nkem Abonta. Mr. Speaker, I represent Okwa Federal Constituency of Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my sister who brought this very topical issue that is being saturated all over the social media. Mr. Speaker, let me also adopt all the postulations of everybody who spoke but one before the last speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have the Firearms Act, which spells out when and how clearly arms could be used. For purpose of information, let me let him know that you may be denied license if you have a record, or based on your mental, temperamental, and mental state. But once you have no record, you are a stable person, you are a person proper, fit, the Inspector General of those who examine you will assess you and give you. Mr. Speaker, now, if you've licensed a gun, that means the person giving the license is a fit and proper citizen of good conduct. Therefore, calling now to say, return the guns, cancelling the license, I will ask two questions, Mr. Speaker. What are we going to gain if we retain all the license on these guns? And what shall we lose if we revoke this license? Mr. Speaker, nobody gives you license for Kalashnikov, Arsenal, Uzi, Browning, MM16, and all whatnot.
How do you know their names, Honorable Abonta? I was beginning to wonder. I hope you are not a merchant.
Mr. Speaker, I come from a very turbulent part of the country. We suffer them. By their sound, we can tell you what gun is on. By the sound, we tell you it's on rapid, it's on mission, or whatever. Even nobody will give you a license for telescopic guns, sir. They only give you a license for the short guns that uses cartridge in most cases. We're looking at the history of those calling for gun returns and all whatnot. Mr. Speaker, it is a known fact that you are unlikely, a criminal is unlikely to invade an area where he will expect resistance of any nature. Mr. Speaker, the unlicensed illegal arms is what we are talking about that is giving us problem in Nigeria. I do not think that after examining anybody, given a license, that person is likely to use that gun for insurgents. Mr. Speaker, what is the percentage of licensed guns in Nigeria compared to the guns that are causing the havoc? It is 0.00%. Mr. Speaker, the insurgents carry weapons unknown to us. In fact, they even carry SLG, submachine guns, if you see them working. Mr. Speaker, the bandits, the armed robbers, carry guns that police cannot have. Mr. Speaker, these will carry rocket launchers that we do not have. We've seen them. If you tell us now to return guns, that means you are now assuring the criminals that everybody is defenseless. You are now telling them that the gates are now quite open for attack. You are now telling them you can now do what you want to do without any resistance or shame. I think that Mr. President ought to have given an order to security agencies, say, please recover all the illegal guns. Mr. Speaker, it's not like saying you are withdrawing licenses or driving licenses. Anybody, if you have a driving license, is withdrawn. That means you are telling people to drive vehicles unlicensed. Let me answer my question, which I posed. If you withdraw the license of guns, you are now encouraging arms smuggling, because it is inherently that people must seek protection. If you say return licensed gun, then I will look for a licensed one, if I am sure that I need protection. Therefore, we want to persuade Mr. President, if he had signed, should rescind. Like Honorable argued, you cannot also use executive order to override an act of parliament. I agree that the executive order may come where there's a lacuna, where there is a gap to be bridged. But here, there are provisions controlling arms. Therefore, using the executive order now to say amend it, abridge it, may give us problem. Let us all unanimously join force to beg Mr. President to concentrate in recovering those illegal ammunitions, those illegal guns that are giving us problem, and not the guns that are being used for gaming, being used all whatnot. Let me also ask you a big question. Are we now saying we'll no longer do hunting? Are we now saying we'll no longer, there are people who use it as a game. Let me also draw an example. I could talk about other clients. I'll use South Africa as a typical example. In South Africa, Mr. Speaker, you could buy gun like you buy MTN cards. Once you go to a gun shop, they ask you your records, they check you, you have no criminal record, they take you to the backyard and teach you how to shoot. Not even the pump actions. Then they give you live, deadly ammunition. Most of them are these Browning pistols, and so they teach you how to shoot. And you go home. Therefore, you hardly see people in South Africa where they say they broke their houses and shot you. No, it's either they vote for you and square it up on the road. Therefore, I support this motion, its entirety, and urge this House to rise up to the occasion and say, please, suspend that yet until we do justice to illegal guns. Then we can now say, we've ridden the criminals of the illegal guns. Now we can now say, let's review the license. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sunday Adepoju, then Deputy Leader will round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Honorable colleagues, my name is Sunday Adepoju, representing Ibarakwa East and Ido Federal Constituency of Oyo State. I rise to support the motion ably moved by our doctor. Mr. President may have good intention of withdrawing the guns that we have in the country, but the procedure is wrong. if you are looking at it, I don't have gun, but those of us that have gun, you know what you went through before you were given. And we have to ask ourselves, the militants, the Boko Haram people that surrendered their guns, some of them, were they taken legally? How did they collect their guns? Thousands or millions of them are outside, that they were bought without having the license to it. And those people that have the license to carry the gun, majority of them are well-to-do in the country. And I don't see them giving gun to anybody to go and do kidnapping or to go and do all those vices. Look at the S-men and all those people are kidnappers that were taking people along Kaduna and all those places. How did they get their guns? Mr. President should look for other ways of recovering these guns. Otherwise, you subject to Nigerian to a station whereby many of us will go and take other means of protecting ourselves. Take, for example, in Lagos. In a street, if you have two people that have gun there, if armed robbers should get to that street and they hear, bad, the gun there, they go away. But in a situation where they know that the entire street may be 40 houses there, nobody's having a gun, it will be a good day, a free day for the armed robbers and all those things. In the light of this, we have to let the Mr. President know that they should go and look for other ways of recovering all those ammunitions outside so that we'll be protected. I read it in the social media, that of the civil defense too. Well, don't forget that when we are doing our campaign, we made use of those people and hoodlum. The moment they see you with civil defense, with their gun, they go away. You will be subjecting many people, because the elections will be held this year again, and if the arms are recovered, those that will be campaigning will not have arms. And those people outside there will come and attack them. That means election in Kogi will be a free for all. That other state will be a free for all, because those who are supposed to protect them, they will not have guns. And I won't expect Nigeria to go out and go and face them. In the light of this, Mr. Speaker, I hereby support the motion that Mr. President should present the decision. Thank you.
Deputy Whip.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Pali Iriase. I represent Onwa Federal Constituency. I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, we all agree that one of the foremost objectives of governance is the safety of life and property. And we also agree that in Nigeria today, one major area we as a government have failed is, our inability to protect lives and property. Insecurity in the land is so damning that we need to be very, very proactive. I do not subscribe to those who are saying that if the rumor that is so much alive that an executive order is in the offing that would deny qualified people from either having licensed guns or even where they already have them, having them withdrawn, that we should wait for that to happen before we raise our voice against it in this House. I do not support that. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I am commending, our ever-observant sister who has brought this motion to the floor today. Mr. Speaker, the timing of this rumored executive order is so uncanny. Things are getting worse. Those who are wielding illegal arms and ammunition have made life a hell for us in Nigeria. And now you are talking about the handful who, by their qualification, have the privilege of enjoying licensed guns, that they will be made to come forward, to submit such guns And even if you now join the club of those who are qualified, you should be denied the license. Mr. Speaker, as if somebody somewhere was already aware of what I'm going to be confronted with on the floor today. As I was stepping out of my gate man gave me a public notice or invitation. All residents of Ishaya Shekari Crescent are invited to a meeting to discuss and provide solutions to the incessant armed robbery attacks on the neighborhood. And the date for that meeting...
You're watching live proceedings on the floor of the House of Representatives. Right now, the lawmakers are debating a matter of urgent public importance tabled before plenary by Representative Nenna Elendu Keji on the need for the President to rescind decision on an executive order set to give effect to withdrawal of licenses from registered gun owners. Earlier at the commencement of plenary, the Speaker, Okudogara, notified members of presidential decision to decline assent to two bills as they are in conflict with existing laws. And this is where we draw the curtains on today's live transmission. On behalf of all those that contributed to the success of today's transmission, I'm Lami Ali, thanking you for your time.